The following is a Orion Sportscast production. Here are your hosts, Josh Egan, Brandon Waterhouse, and Jarek Moore.
Welcome to the first ever episode of Orions Belt, the all wrestling talk spin-off show, accompanying show, whatever the hell you want to call it, of the Orion Sportscast. We're covering purely wrestling on this. We won't be talking hockey, won't be talking basketball, won't be talking curling. Just wrestling, Smackdown, Raw, NXT, AEW, whatever's going on in the world of wrestling. You know what? Maybe we'll even throw in some UFC talk in there once in a while.
Oh,
Jarek,
especially when it comes to the pay-per-views, of course.
Oh, yeah. Jarek, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I love covering wrestling. I've been excited all day for this. I've watched 9 hours of wrestling today, so I'm ready for this. I'm ready. How are you, Josh?
I'm good. I got a little bit of the bubbly. So
a little bit of the bubbly. Le Champion.
I'm ready to go. So, let's start with this before we get into it. Obviously, we'll start with SmackDown. We'll go to Raw, then NXT and AEW. But what do you think of the overall world of wrestling right now? Like, all in a loop. Is it in a good place? Is it in a bad place? What do you like? What do you not like?
Honestly, I'm kind of in the middle. I feel like it's in a better place because with the pandemic and everything kind of ending. We've gotten crowds back. The energy is back in the arenas. We're feeling crowds. Anything that was bad during the pandemic, it has seemed to be good again. For now, at least. You know how the fans usually kind of turn on everything that's good when the fans are back into the arenas. But I don't know. I feel like it's better. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's better. How do you feel about it?
I definitely think, like, ever since last week, where SmackDown welcomed back crowds, and you had some pretty good returns over the last week or so. The energy from the crowd is just so important in a product like wrestling, because at the end of the day, it's not real, it's scripted. We all know that. Yes, we're two 24-year-olds talking about a fake sport. We know it's fake, but we fully enjoy it. And like, the crowds just make such a difference, right? Like, even when Finn Balor came back, for example, last week, the crowd was shocked. It was a nice surprise. If you do that in an empty arena, it's not going to be as big of a surprise, right?
Even the little things too. It's like when he throws his hands up, it's just with this theme music. It's just there's the energy, right? Nothing is better in wrestling than energy. If there's energy in wrestling, then I'm having a good time. Anybody who's watching it's having a good time. I don't know. That's just how I feel. So.
And like, I think that was truly signified at the end of Money in the Bank when John Cena came back. Like, that's one of the biggest pops I've ever heard. And like that, and you're talking about a guy who's apparently like. People used to, people were talking about, like, they hate Cena. We don't like him. He's overused. And then he comes back after a year and a half, 2 years. And it was a massive pop. Even through my TV, I felt that energy. I was like, oh, fuck, that's exciting. So it's pretty good to see fans back in the building, and hopefully they can keep pushing forward. There's some pretty big news surrounding AEW with some possible huge pops that could happen. But let's start with SmackDown. So speaking of John Cena, SmackDown opens up with John Cena. He pumps up the crowd. He makes fun of the Cleveland Guardians and their name, which went over well. And essentially, he calls out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns doesn't come out. Paul Heyman comes out alone, making fun of John Cena's theme song. And he did this for like 20 seconds. It was amazing. I really do like Paul Heyman. I think he's a fantastic character on TV. But essentially, he does the same thing he does every week. He says, you're not worthy. You can't fight him. Blah, blah, blah. Reigns will see you when he's ready. So you're like, okay, I guess this is closing the show. And then he leaves. What do you think of this Cena? I guess we can get to this at the end because the story kind of developed at the end. But what do you think of Cena, Reigns, the whole dynamic there?
I love it. I love the energy. The Cena comes into the arena, that music goes off, the fans are pumped. Heyman comes out. It's just Heyman does his thing perfectly. He's supposed to be a dickhead. Let's be honest here. He does it perfectly. He's the best dickhead possible. Like, he comes out, does his little do 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 for, like you said, for way too long, which makes it better because he's doing it for way too long. You get to the point, like, all right, Paul, chill out, man. But he does it like I said, the whole tease with, like, is Roman gonna face Cena? The whole Cena's great, but Roman almost feels greater than Cena right now because he's not letting him face him. So I don't know. I like the dynamic. I feel like everyone is kind of wanting Cena versus Reigns for wherever the last time, and I think it was 2017 or 2018. No Mercy. I think it was last time they faced each other, and it was just flat. No one cares.
They tried to, and I think the issue with that was they tried to get like a WrestleMania type match on a C grade pay per view, which wasn't their best move, but whatever. And we'll come back to this because this story did develop at the conclusion of the show. But after that, we had Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn. It was a mediocre match. I wasn't quite sure why they did this, but it made more sense at the end of SmackDown. Sami Zayn hit the Blue Thunder Bomb in the match, and for some reason, Michael Cole called it the Mikanushu driver. Don't know why. But at the end of the match, Balor hits the coup de grace to win, and the crowd's happy with that one. Typical, face win against Sami Zayn.
I can't complain.
So if I was to tell you like that was the only thing Finn Balor did this week, what would you say?
I wish he was doing more. Would be the best thing to say. I just feel like he's just kind of, I don't know, he's just kind of there. I feel like Finn Balor is way better than just being there. Mm-hmm. Like I know it's almost developing into a little bit more after that at the end of the show, but I don't know. I just feel like he's just there, and I just want him to be the number one contender or number two contender, or even throw the Intercontinental Championship on him, right? Or just make him have a presence. I guess that's how I feel about Finn Balor.
I think we can agree that in the last 2 weeks, he's been treated the best of NXT champions on the main roster. So poor Carrion.
That's for sure.
At least. And this one's bugging me because Sami Zayn kind of seems to be stuck in limbo with this whole conspiracy documentary thing. I think he could be used so much better. I think he could be one of those guys that benefits by being sent back down to NXT, which to some could be seen as a promotion. Do you agree with that take?
I almost want to disagree because I feel like Sami Zayn, it works so well with the crowds. So I feel like when you bring him back to NXT, you're almost taking away, what would you say, 10,000 people now just because of how small the arena is. I feel like Sami plays so well with the crowd, and like if you flash back to when he did his whole AEW thing when the AEW first started and just got that big crowd reaction, I feel like he just works so well with the crowd. And I feel like with the pandemic being over and again crowds being back into the arenas, I feel like he just works so well with the crowd. I feel like I don't know if I wanted to send him down to NXT.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on here. We cut backstage. Kayla Braxton is interviewing Baron Corbin. She asks him, how much did you make from this whole CorbinFun.com thing? And Corbin pretty much says, well, he lost money. The guy that I was working with, he built a website and then he ghosted me. He also stole my identity. I had to take the bus here today. What's happened to me? And then something else happened as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. What do you think of this whole – I don't know what I think of this whole Baron Corbin thing because it's so bad that it keeps getting better.
Yeah, 100%. It's almost like you want to watch it, but it's just like, wow, this is so bad, but I can't keep my eye off. It's like a car crash, right? It's so bad, but you keep wanting to watch it.
And it's different from his that King Corbin gimmick. When did he win that? 2018? Like, you're not King of the Ring for 3 years, right? Like, it was 2018 or 2019. He's had it for a while.
Something like that, yeah. 100%.
They were calling him King Barrett. Like, they had the whole, it was so dry and annoying. And at least they're switching it up here. I don't think, partnering with Kevin Owens, which it looks like it's going to happen, is the way to do it. But if there's anybody that can turn Baron Corbin face, it is Kevin Owens. So that's what happens here. After that's done, though, the first "Why are they doing this?" segment of the night, Big E, Mr. Money in the Bank, comes to the ring, breaks out to a massive "You deserve it" chant, but he's only able to get a couple words in, and then Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz come out. Crews starts talking trash, but then Ziggler and Robert Roode come out, but they are interrupted by Rick Boogs, who is pretty much a knockoff of Elias and King Nakamura. And then they're interrupted by Cesaro, who just keeps yelling, it's swing time for some reason. And then there's a massive brawl. The good guys throw the bad guys out of the ring. And then, luckily, this didn't lead to a tag team match. Well, why the fuck were they doing this? Why are you treating Mr. Money in the Bank like this with a massive brawl? I thought this was such a waste of time. I don't know if they were trying to fill air or something. Like, I feel like WWE has a lot of these segments and they don't need them.
It's proof that, Vince McMahon is ripping up the script in the morning and recreating it and rewriting it, and here it is, guys, and these are those filler moments of the show, and it's just like, why are we doing it with Big E? Like, of all guys, like, you finally elevate him, and it's just like, You put him back with Apollo Crews for the 14,800th time. And it's just like, we've seen this. Again, that's a running theme with WWE, even NXT. It's the same show every week. And it's just like, guys, we've seen this. Elevate the guy. Let the guy go up. Let the guy have a championship while he has the Money in the Bank. Let him lose the championship and then let him win another championship with the Money in the Bank. I don't know. It's just I feel like we elevate guys and then we just bring them back down to earth. And that's why we can't have John Cena's again. That's why we can't have Stone Colds again. That's why we can't have the Rocks, because we just don't let them, because nothing's bigger than WWE. And sometimes guys have to be bigger than WWE. That's just how it works.
Where do you think Big E cashes in?
Oof, that's a tough one. I want to say,
because I think it's SummerSlam. I think he's got to.
I think he cashes in against Goldberg. To be honest with you, I think Goldberg beats Lashley, and I can't see Big E taking it from Roman Reigns, because I can't see anybody taking it from Roman Reigns right now, just because he has that unstoppable force around him right now. But I see Big E going over to Raw, and probably, if not Goldberg, then Bobby Lashley, because Bobby Lashley would retain against Goldberg. But Bobby Lashley or Goldberg.
I like that Goldberg cash in, because on some level that puts Big E like right on Roman Reigns level.
Exactly, right, because Roman Reigns beat Goldberg, right?
I like that.
So,
I didn't really like think. I was like, he's got to cash in on Reigns or something. Like, he doesn't have to, actually. So I like that idea. I think they missed a real opportunity here by not having, and I think this would have been a fantastic story, because it would have set up a sick match for SummerSlam, and kind of doing a little bit of fantasy booking here. But Kofi should have beat Lashley, and then, Big E comes out, cashes in on Kofi, and then like the next Raw, SmackDown, or whatever, everyone's like, what the fuck? Xavier Wood comes out and says, guys, why are you fighting? Blah, blah, blah. And then eventually that leads to a New Day triple threat match for the championship at SummerSlam.
I like that idea.
I think they missed there massively, because that match would draw fan reaction. Remember when the Shield had that triple threat match? The crowd was into it all match. Let's go Roman. Let's go Dean. Let's go Seth. But you missed out there. But I do understand now why Lashley beat Kofi that way, because you had to set him up for Goldberg for some reason. So
for some reason is
what it is.
Say that.
And then this is kind of where SmackDown took a weird turn, because I forgot this was happening. They cut to Miami, Florida, in the middle of the Rolling Loud Music Festival, where WWE, resident celebrity Whale comes out and tells the crowd, get ready, get pumped up, and they don't really. And I actually think they pumped in fake crowd noise here.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Actually, I'll do it after. The match they have at the Rolling Loud Music Festival is Chad Gable versus Angelo Dawkins. The ring was super far away from the crowd. The crowd was obviously there not to watch wrestling. I think they were there to hold their place for the next person up at the concert or whatever. And Dawkins wins pretty quickly with a spine buster, and the crowd looked really, really disinterested. Let me ask you this. You're WWE. You go to Rolling Loud Music Festival, which is probably a top 10 music festival in the world after a pandemic, where crowds are fired up. Why are you not sending John Cena, Roman Reigns, bigger names? Instead, you send Chad Gable and Angelo Dawkins. What are you doing? Like, these guys don't know who they are. Imagine, like, you're just at a random music festival and you see all of a sudden, like, oh, John Cena's in the ring. Isn't that the guy from Fast and Furious 9? Let me go see what the hell he's doing, wrestling Bobby Lashley.
No, I agree. Yeah, honestly, who's one wrestler that everybody knows? Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Bring Rey Mysterio, put him in the ring, bring his son. Everybody knows who Rey Mysterio is. That not only creates knowledge about the event for WWE and Rolling Loud, it also helps people like, I don't know, my brother, for instance, who he's not the biggest wrestling fan, but he's going to know who John Cena is. He's going to know who Rey Mysterio is. You know what I mean? So bring Rey Mysterio there. That helps Dominic, because Dominic's getting experience in front of a bigger crowd, and you're bringing Dominic out. It's, oh my God, that's Rey Mysterio's son. I didn't know he was in WWE. That's awesome. Maybe we should go home and flick SmackDown on next Friday night when we're home. You know what I mean? But yeah, someone definitely not Angelo Dawkins versus, again, whoever it was, because I already forgot.
Chad Gable versus Angelo Dawkins. It was such a, I don't know, I don't get it.
Forgettable match.
Anyway, next match, we're still at the Rolling Loud Music Festival, and Carmella versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship in a rematch. In this match, it wasn't, a great match. Bianca Belair won with the KOD, but they kept cutting to the crowd in the match, and a lot of the people in the crowd weren't even watching the ring. They were kind of looking off to the other stage. So I think our point really stands there. The one thing I will give WWE credit for here for, two things actually. One, the setup looked fantastic, like with the city backdrop and the way the ring was positioned in the middle of the crowd. I really did like that. It looked phenomenal. And I will give them credit for trying something new.
100%.
Like in wrestling, we're always asking, try something new, stop doing new things. They tried something new here, it didn't work. They probably won't do it again next year. Or if they did do it again next year, you bring in bigger people to do it. So you know what? They tried it. It was a hit and miss. Maybe try again next year. I won't drill them too hard for that one. But yeah, whatever. So anyway, we're backstage. We're back in wherever the hell they were. Shotzi and Knox, they're trying to fix their tanks, and for some reason Kevin Owens is there, and he makes a suggestion, and it doesn't work. The tank's still broken. Kevin Owens walks away, but Baron Corbin walks up and cuts him off. And, he apologizes to Kevin Owens, calling him a bad dresser last week. Corbin again, begs for help. So Owens actually gives us some cash and says, try not being a jerk to people. It won't get you that far. But then out of nowhere, Baron Corbin gets shot in the dick with a tank missile by Shotzi and Knox. And then for some reason, Ziggler and Rude show up and steal the money that Owens had just given Corbin. So Owens chases them away with a chair. What? What are you doing?
It's just that focus on that's the focus on comedy when it comes to WWE and Vince McMahon. I laughed. I won't lie. I definitely enjoyed it.
Shit.
It was such good shit, pal. But yeah, it was one of those things where I definitely enjoyed. Again, it was one of those things when I was on Twitter, it popped up and I watched it probably 7 or 8 times. But it was just like, I don't know. This is kind of the stuff that makes you go, yeah, maybe I don't want to tell my friends I'm a wrestling fan, because it's just that stupid comedy, and it's just like, again, maybe this is why people flick on the wrestling show on Wednesday nights instead of the wrestling show on Friday nights, right?
We can talk about that one later. But
yeah.
I also want to point out here, they were trying to figure on NXT. We saw, was it Shotzi built the tank from scratch, and she's trying to fix it with a fucking hammer. You can't fix a tank with a hammer. What are you doing? Like you probably know the problem if you built this thing from scratch. Oh my god, this just made me roll my eyes. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just roll my eyes so hard. Anyway, let's get to some good stuff here. We cut to the ring. Edge is there. Edge has one of the best presences in pro wrestling right now. Second to him,
that anger he has right now, it's just unreal. It's
so
real.
Yeah, it is. And second to him is probably Seth Rollins. Now, if you remember in 2014, Seth Rollins actually threatened to kill Edge in the ring when he brought back the Authority, because John Cena was there, and he had so much respect for Edge, and Rollins was like, "Oh, if you don't bring back the Authority, I'll curb stomp his head off." So Cena was like, okay, yeah, I'll bring back the Authority. And then Rollins was like, fuck it, I'll do it anyway. And Cena got there in time to save him anyway. So you didn't really need to bring back the Authority. But so that's where this feud is kind of stemming from, plus some other shit. So yeah, Edge's
storytelling, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying this feud. We'll talk about it after this, the breakdown of this segment. But Edge is in the ring. I think he's a babyface again. I can't really tell. Edge pretty much goes on to say, I would be Universal Champion if it wasn't for you. He brings up 2014 saying, you didn't pull the trigger then to get the job done because you didn't think that I would be back, which I thought was a fantastic line. Rollins then comes out calling him Grandpa Edge, which I'm like, okay, buddy, this guy just won the Royal Rumble and had 3 great matches with Randy Orton. Maybe don't do that.
And I feel like they're not that far from age too.
I don't know. I don't know what the age difference is, but it's probably closer than we think. Edge tells Seth, get in the ring. I won't touch you. Seth gets in the ring, and he says, when they talk about the career of Edge, they aren't going to talk about you. They're going to talk about the man who ended your career. They're going to be talking about Seth frickin' Rollins. And I fucking love when he says that. Seth also brings up 2014 saying, I hesitated. And when I get that opportunity again, and I get my boot on the back of your surgically repaired neck, I will not hesitate to pull the trigger. Edge then responds to Seth saying, remember when I said I wouldn't put my hands on you? I'm a liar. And then Seth attacks Edge and Edge attacks Seth, hits the execution, and then goes for the spear, but Rollins retreats and gets out of the ring. I love this story. I would like to see Edge with a championship before he's done his, I think it's a 3-year contract. But if he's got to fight Seth Rollins first, go for it. This match is going to be fantastic. The storytelling's amazing. The fact that they're able to relate it back to 2014 is, one, just dumb luck, but two, also fantastic that they're actually acknowledging that. So, kudos to them for this seat. Like this segment was an A+ for me. I thought it was amazing. Two of the best guys to be able to cut promos. Pro wrestling just comes so naturally to Edge and Seth Rollins that I think this might be the match of SummerSlam.
I don't think I could disagree, because it's that real emotion. It's that raw emotion. Edge seems so real right now. Like I said, he seems so angry. Seth Rollins coming in, like you said, it might be dumb luck, but it's the fact that they're running with it, actually using a storyline type material. Mm-hmm. They're actually going with something that seems real, and they're running with it. I enjoy this just as much as I enjoy the Roman Reigns stuff right now. Like you said, I do wish that Edge won a title at the last pay-per-view, but I don't know. I'm kind of changing my mind on that because of how good the Seth Rollins versus Edge stuff is. And if that leads to Edge getting another title shot, then so be it. Because we'll get to see another good match.
And I kind of think the only reason we're saying that is because of nostalgia, but we kind of want to see these dream matches. Like, we want to see Edge versus Seth, Edge versus AJ, Edge versus Finn, and that might be better than a title run, to be honest. So, we'll see where this goes. If you can mix in a title win at the end, that would be great. But if not, Edge is still going to go down as one of the greatest of all times. So we'll see there. But I fully enjoyed this segment. It was one of the highlights of this week. And now we're going to get to one of the not highlights of this week. Zelina Vega versus a debuting on the main roster, Toni Storm from NXT UK. Toni comes out for some reason as a babyface, even though she was a heel in NXT. Vega comes out, but she came out during commercial. So I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Michael Cole said that Toni Storm is stuck in the 80s, even though she wasn't born until 1992. I don't know. Vega jaw. I don't even want to, Storm hit a cutter for the win, and, this match was 3 minutes, so Vega came back to the WWE to job. She hasn't won since she's come back. Like, is she calling Tony Khan right now? Like, hey, can you buy out my contract so I can kind of come over there? Like, fuck me. Like, I love Toni Storm, but you're putting her in a jobber match against fucking, one of your best women's wrestlers. Oh my God, this was brutal.
And the fact that, like, could you imagine you tweet out, I don't want a union, or we need a union in wrestling. You get fired. You delete the tweet, you re-sign, you get your Money in the Bank match, and then 2 weeks after, you're getting an entrance during the commercial.
That's Vince McMahon. That's Vince McMahon going
up that stink. Like,
Vince McMahon's like, fuck you. Like,
yeah, that's the Drew Gulak stuff. It's the, we'll promise you something, you come back, and we're not going to give you anything because you're an idiot that re-signed because you left in the first place. So it's just all about punishment. It's just, let's focus on maybe raising people up instead of tearing people down in WWE. And maybe your show won't be averaging $2 million viewers, and when it used to be averaging 10. So I don't know.
But, no, Vince McMahon knows best. Let's not question him. Anyway, let's go. Let's cut to the next match, which, now that I look at it, probably should have been at the Rolling Loud Festival. Now that you bring it up. We got Dominic Mysterio versus Jimmy Uso with Ray and Jay ringside. That's a mouthful. Dominic hits the 619, goes to the top rope. Jay distracts him. Ray pulls Jay off. This is so confusing. Ray pulls Jay off the apron, and Dominic jumps. Jimmy super kicks him in midair, and Dominic kicks out still. So, he kind of kicked out of, something he shouldn't have. In the end, Jimmy wins with a roll-up.
It was a sloppy finish,
It was a sloppy finish. Jay had his feet on Jimmy's back. The ref didn't see it. Jimmy got the win. I hate roll-up wins. I think they have no place in wrestling. I think it cheapens wrestlers. I think it cheapens wins. I think it cheapens stories. And when you see 3 or 4 of them a week, it's terrible. If you mix them in once in a while, great. Go ahead for it.
It's like the belts. Make them mean something, right? It's if someone wins a championship, make them the best person in that business. If someone wins by a roll-up, make it something that hasn't happened in 6 months. That's the thing with good wrestling. If you don't do something for 8 months, people seem to have a short memory and seem to forget about it. So if you do something in 8 months that you haven't done in a while, then there you go. Like, you know what I mean? It's brand new to people because that's how wrestling works. You can use something that you used 5 years ago, but because you haven't used it for 5 years, it's brand new. So use it again. But it's one of those things like.
I have a hot take. You may or may not disagree with this.
Okay, so, let's hear it.
What's the best finish to a UFC fight? It's a knockout, a one-punch knockout. Yeah. Like right on the top. How often do you see that? Maybe once or twice a year. Like a clean punch to the
especially
head.
Especially like a star caliber knockout. Yeah, just like a Jorge Masvidal knockout. Yeah,
right,
like
exactly.
Very rarely. Like I would say up to 4 times a year.
Yeah, within the first minute of the first round. If you turn the roll-up into you only see it once or twice a year, people would be like, oh shit, he won with a roll-up. But right now they're using it every week, so you're like, oh shit, he won with a roll-up. Right? Like, you could change the tone of it so much. Mark Henry had a great saying, or a great quote once. He said, how do you make a finisher amazing? He goes, you can make a chokehold something that people pop for that's phenomenal. Right? He goes, I can put a guy in a chokehold for 17 weeks straight. He just passes out week after week. And then I put a guy in a championship match in a chokehold and he gets out of it. People are like, oh my God, he got out of it. All it was a chokehold. But you
look
built
at the
it up. You
lock.
told the story about, hey, I was just thinking of the master lock. I can get out of the master lock. I know it's a fake move, but I could get out of that. Right? But you know what? It is what it is. I also kind of find it kind of funny right now. Bobby Lashley was the first one to get out of the master lock, and now that's his finisher.
Oh, wow. That's a throwback that they probably won't ever call out. Look at Josh go. Coach Josh.
Anyway, we have the conclusion of SmackDown. Reigns is in the ring and goes, John Cena is putting on a nostalgia act. You know, you're not right, John. I can't see you because I don't want to see you. We're not going to have this main event. I do not accept your challenge. And then out comes Finn Balor, which immediately piqued my interest. Balor gets in the ring, looks at Reigns, kind of looks him up and down as if to say, I beat you once before, which he did do. He beat him in the semifinals of the inaugural Universal Championship tournament. I think that's what it was called. I don't know.
Which led to the injury, I believe, right?
Yes. Against Rollins in the main event.
Yep.
Reigns tells Balor, you know, my special counsel tells me you're out here to acknowledge me. Balor says, fuck you. No, I'm not. He didn't actually say that. He said, but if you're not interested in John Cena's challenge, maybe you're interested in mine. The crowd fucking lost it here. Roman laughed, but the crowd stole the show here, and kudos to wherever they were with the chant, Roman's scared. And, like,
ooh.
It was actually, I think it was kind of getting to Reigns because, like, he was kind of looking around like, no, I'm not. Like, I could beat this guy. And so Reigns just says, challenge accepted. And that we were kind of left on a cliffhanger because we weren't given a date for the match. I think this leads to a triple threat at SummerSlam.
I got 2 things. So, one, I love the fact that it's Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, and I also love the fact that there's like 3 or 4 challengers going around for Roman Reigns right now. So there's almost like a plan, and like we're not just stuck on one guy, and it feels like we don't have to maybe see 3 or 4 matches of the same guy 3-4 weeks in a row. But another thing I want to add is, you know how at the beginning of the show, Roman Reigns didn't want to come out, and it was kind of like a power thing, a power trip. I almost feel like he should have done this promo in the back to make it feel like I'm not coming out in front of those fans. I'm not doing it. I'm in the back here. If anybody wants to come challenge me, you know where I am. Come see me. But obviously, leading to the Finn Balor thing, it made sense. Obviously, everyone wants that Finn Balor pop. But I don't know. I feel like it just would have added to his like I'm the big dog like attitude. Just stay in the back. If you need me, come see me. Or like John Cena, if you want some, come get some. Right? Use that thing against John Cena. But like I said, I like the ending. I like those cliffhanger endings because it makes me want to tune in on Friday night, which usually sometimes you don't have that feeling.
Friday Night SmackDown has been bringing it the last 6 months. I'm not going to lie. I've been enjoying SmackDown. Yep.
That's the one show during the pandemic where I didn't really feel like I was dragging through when it came to WWE. NXT and Raw kind of had that feeling.
Yeah. I will say one thing here. This Roman Reigns character, like the big dick energy he has, especially with Heyman. Yeah. And I don't think this is going to happen, and we'll get to this in rumors. a Lesnar Reigns match at next WrestleMania right now looks fucking phenomenal. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be Rock Reigns. We'll see where it goes, but it's gonna be phenomenal. Do you have any final thoughts on SmackDown?
Though, like you said, it brought it. It obviously had its dull moments, which I feel like SmackDown can somewhat clean up. I know that a good wrestling show always is going to have their bathroom break moments, obviously, just because that's how kind of pro wrestling works. But I feel like SmackDown could definitely get rid of a few of them and kind of make it more of a show that you sit on your couch for at least an hour and 10 minutes of the hour and 45 minutes it's on the TV, right? But I don't know. That's my only thought. I feel like it was a pretty good show. It's definitely, like I said, it's something I definitely want to tune into on Friday night because I want to figure out what's going on with the Balor versus Reigns thing.
For sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, and we're back. Just took a quick break because that was a lot. So we go into Raw. Yeah, speaking of a lot, we're going to Raw. So Raw opens with Nikki Cross getting in the wings saying, "I've always wanted to say this. Welcome to Monday Night Raw." You could have said that any week. So I don't know why you're saying that. She does the typical, face, champion speech. This feels like a dream. For some reason, she got a "You deserve it" chant. She cuts a really bad promo saying that, if you can do it, I can do it. Luckily, Charlotte Flair came out to call Nikki a disgrace of a champion, which I'm like, maybe it is. The fans took Nikki's side on this, chanting, "You suck" at Charlotte. And then for some reason, Charlotte says, "Don't make me do the 'you suck it' sign to all of you." I don't know what she meant by this. So I just kind of forgot about it. Charlotte keeps bitching until the fans, don't want to hear it anymore. And then Rhea Ripley comes out. Ripley wants a match against Nikki at SummerSlam because Charlotte got herself DQ'd last week. Nikki says that nobody deserves a match and that it should be a new person to do it, to which I agree to. I really don't want to see Charlotte or Ripley in the title picture anymore. But for some reason,
Same old.
Apparently Raw doesn't have a GM, but Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville come out and say that it'll be a triple threat match at SummerSlam, to which I rolled my eyes at. Charlotte then asks for a one-on-one match with Nikki tonight. Nikki says, yeah. Pearce says, okay. Charlotte attacks Ripley from behind for some reason and then throws her out of the ring. Nikki dropkicks Charlotte out of the ring. That was what opened Raw. After a fantastic show last week, you opened with this bullshit.
Yeah. And I was watching it earlier today, just kind of watching it over, just kind of to know what I was talking about again. But it was just like 15 minutes. I was watching it and I was like, this is still the first segment. We're still on the first segment of Raw, right? Like, let's get it going. Like, when I watch other shows, I want to see wrestling when I watch a wrestling show. I don't want to see a 20-minute talking segment of the same old stuff. And it's just, you have Nikki, who's supposed to be the babyface, who gets a cheesy title win with the whole Money in the Bank cash-in, which 10 years ago, it was done so correctly that you wanted to see those cash-ins. But now they're just done so cheesy, and it's just like they're not the reason for winning the title. So I don't want to cheer for this person, especially when they're in a superhero costume. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the whole Nikki Ash character.
You know what would have saved this segment? If I'll just do it this way because they probably want Becky, not Becky. They probably want Charlotte and Rhea in the title picture. But if, Sonya and Adam came out, they announced a triple threat, and then all you hear is this. That would have made it so much better. That would have saved it, but I don't think we'll be seeing Becky Lynch for a while. I don't know if the Nikki cash-in was the best call anymore. Cash-in's always fun. I got a funny story about that, actually. Last week I was watching Raw for the first time live in a while. Usually I record it and fast forward. And we get to the end of Raw, and my feed cut out. And I go on Twitter, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And the feed cut out for everybody who was watching on Sportsnet in Ontario. And when I tune back in, Nikki's on the top rope holding the title up. I'm like, okay, hang on a second. I missed something here. Because I thought
what just happened?
Yeah, I thought Becky was coming back. I'm like, oh, is Becky coming back? Like, did I miss something? I'm like, no, I just missed a cash-in. So that's what happened with my my cash-in experience. So then we move to the first match of the night. We have Damian Priest versus Sheamus. Now, for some reason, they're calling these a championship contenders match. I don't know what the fuck that is, but they called 3 matches that this week. This match was
Do you
kind
think
of
that has to do with the AEW stuff? The fact that they don't want to because you know how AEW has the ranking system, how they've been going off the number 1 contender and Adam Page stuff. Do you not think they just kind of want to stray away from what AEW is doing, and it's just they want to create their own thing, but it's again WWE's version of trying to create their own thing on something that doesn't need to be created. You know what I mean?
Fucking
if the best team
it.
is Exactly.
Tell me what a championship contenders match. Because to me, a championship contenders match is a number 1 contenders match. Why is the champion fighting in a championship contenders match? Is he gonna fight himself at SummerSlam? Fuck off, get out of here. Make your mind up on what you're doing.
Yeah.
The WWE wants to be the UFC so bad. You know what happens when the champion fights in the UFC? The title's on the line. So maybe have your champions fight with the title on the line. I don't know. This pissed me off so much when they called it that. The Priest hits Reckoning. They brought that back finally because Mia Yim's not called Reckoning anymore. And he hit Reckoning for the win. And Priest will get a title shot because he beat Sheamus, who is the champion. Shouldn't he already be the champion? He just beat the champion.
And it's just one of those things where it's, again, now we have to see the same match again. And it's what's wrong with Riddle versus Damian Priest for a shot at Sheamus' title? I know Riddle's doing something else, but why not throw Riddle in there? It's a great match. I'm sure if Damian Priest beat Riddle can take an L. It's not going to hurt him. Everyone loves Riddle. Obviously we'll get to Riddle later in the show, but he's doing his own thing. But it's just one of those things. Why do we have to see the same match again and again and again? Yeah, it's my forever complaint with WWE right now.
I know. Speaking of again and again and again, we get the Viking Raiders versus AJ Styles and Taco Fall for the Raw Tag Team titles. Omos looks like Taco Fall. He's a fucking splitting image. Shout out Brandon, who actually pointed that out to me. This is a rematch. Eric and Ivar hit the Viking Experience on Styles, literally a minute into the match. But Taco Fall pulls them both out of the ring and then just, whips them into the barricade. Omos hits a big slam on Eric, and then AJ hits the springboard 450 for the win. They had a better match at Money in the Bank. This was a disappointment.
Why aren't they baby faces? Everything they do is a baby face action and emotion. Everyone loves AJ Styles. I don't understand why I'm supposed to be cheering for the Viking Raiders if 2 big, 350-pound men can't take on a tall guy, because the tall guy can't wrestle. It's quite clear he can't wrestle. Yeah. It's just I don't know. I'm not they didn't even play AJ's music because they know that the fans were gonna pop for AJ's music. So they stopped doing these pro wrestling show things because they're so afraid of the crowd reaction. Just go with the crowd reaction. If they're going to cheer for somebody, they're going to cheer for somebody. You're going to get a better emotion from the crowd if you do what they want to hear. That's what it is. Like you said at the beginning of the show, we're two 24-year-old people watching something that's not real. They control what happens. If someone in the crowd is cheering for someone so loud, then just do it. Just go with the crowd and just do it. Like I said, I don't know. That's the best way to say it. Just do it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes right here. We are getting into a really dark part of Raw, so let's just kind of power through this. Drew McIntyre versus Veer. They've ruined Drew McIntyre. He comes out and they've added a fake rock to his entrance, so now he shoves his sword into a fake rock. Jinder Mahal comes out. Mahal demands an apology for beating Shanky with a chair last week. Drew says no. For some reason, Drew brings out his personal attorney and says he's going to sue Drew if he says he doesn't apologize. Drew then pretty much demands the crowd to chant, "Drew is going to kill you," and for some reason, the crowd obliged. The match was terrible. Drew won via DQ because he kept hitting people with a chair. Corey Graves says I don't know. This was just a mess. After the match, McIntyre hits an attorney with a claymore. What happened to Drew McIntyre?
The pandemic. It's
Sorry,
he
but
went
that was a struggle for me. That was
yeah
a struggle.
yeah he went into the pandemic as almost like the savior, and they just gave up on him. Like he was doing everything that he was supposed to do to help us get through the boring no crowd Raw shows that were going on in early
Hey, I personally
2020.
hated him as champion.
I did too, but it was one of those things where he had the emotion, he had the energy to watch a no audience show. Like he was bringing it to the point where like you're like, wow, okay, like is he actually like does he think that he's like doing this in front of an audience? Like it had that emotion. It's like when Jeff Hardy comes out in front of no crowd. He does his dance, he does his little thing, he does his pointing to the crowd. It's like, all right, he's bringing the emotion through the TV. Drew did that during the pandemic. He didn't get his moment at WrestleMania for some weird reason. And then after that, he started telling fairy tale stories, and now he's like you said with The Rock. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's when Drew's on TV, I just want to turn it off, and it sucks because I like Drew McIntyre so much.
Yeah, let's move on from that. So unfortunately, next we get Eva Marie and Doudrop versus Natalya and Tamina in a championship contenders match again. Natalya literally
didn't see that coming.
She literally injured her leg in this, so she had to tag out for the rest of the match. We hope she's okay. It looks like she's going to be out for a while. Doudrop hits Tamina with a crossbody. Eva wants to be tagged in. Eva goes for the pin. Tamina kicks out. And then it gets weird because Alexa's doll Lily appears on the Titron, and it's a parody of those Evolution videos because they call this Lilylution. Eva's distracted. Tamina super kicks her for the win. Eva fucked up again because she actually, I don't know if you noticed this, she looked back at Tamina to make sure she was there for the super kick and then looked back at the video. Why do they have Eva Marie under contract if she can't wrestle or take a bump?
Because we're trying to backtrack and back into the Divaville.
I think Vince McMahon wants to go back to like bra and panties matches and whipped cream on a pole match and whatever.
I just don't get it. It's one of those things where again we're backtracking. We do this women's revolution thing. You literally have one of the best women's rosters in all of pro wrestling right now. That's New Japan, that's AEW, that's Ring of Honor, that's anywhere right now in the world of pro wrestling. You have the best women's division, and you're trying to do something with Eva Marie. And hell, you got Piper Niven right there. It's one thing. Can we ban the word Doudrop from this podcast?
Sure, we can do that.
Can we start using Piper Niven? Because Piper Niven is amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen her in any of her independent stuff, but she's amazing.
She's a phenomenal wrestler.
She's a phenomenal wrestler. She's a phenomenal athlete. And the fact we're calling her Doudrop, it's flabbergasting.
I don't think that's going to stick. I don't think that name's going to stick.
No.
It's part of the story they're telling. Let's see where this story. It could be a good story if they go the right way.
Yeah. For sure.
Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross. This is probably one of the best feuds from NXT. Kross dominates the whole match and makes Lee tap to the straight jacket. They called it the Kross jacket. Why are you ruining your NXT stars on the main roster?
Because entertainment. Because it's not pro wrestling. It's entertainment. Because we're so scared of what TV or what kids are going to think.
By the way, this should have been Jeff Hardy versus Karrion Kross with Jeff Hardy winning, but Jeff Hardy's out with COVID.
Yes, you heard Josh right. Jeff Hardy was supposed to win again over the NXT champion. Just let that sink in. Jeff Hardy winning over the NXT champion again.
We're massive Jeff Hardy fans. Yeah, no, that's dude. Last week when Jeff Hardy won by cheating, I was like, "Oh, we're getting Heel Hardy. We're gonna get Willow. This is gonna be fucking amazing." Probably none of that was gonna happen, but I was
the writing's on the wall, though, right? We got our song back.
I had a viral tweet because I responded. Oh, my mic. I responded to WWE's tweet of Jeff Hardy winning. I just wrote, I guess Kross didn't see the writing on the wall. We did well, yeah. Follow me on Twitter. So we'll move on from that. If we start talking about Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, I think we'll be here forever.
I'm not gonna lie. All I had was Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee with like 18 dots because that's really all I had to say about it. So let's move on.
Yeah, Keith Lee could be really good champion. So could Carry. I prefer Keith Lee over Karrion Kross. I don't think Karrion Kross can wrestle that well, but his character is amazing. Like The Undertaker, This is gonna be a hot take. Like people might not agree with me. The Undertaker couldn't wrestle that well, but he could put on a show in the ring.
I completely agree. It's
which
all
is what pro.
came to him,
that's
right?
what pro wrestling is.
Yeah.
So he could, like, Karrion Kross could be the next Undertaker, but they're just choosing not to do that. So is what it is. Now, for some reason, we get Mason T-Bar versus Mustafa Ali and Mansour. This match was set up last week. Are we going to talk about the fact that Mason T-Bar just yell about animals before their match?
Honestly, I completely forgot these guys were on the roster. I don't even have this written down in my notes about this match because it was just so nothing. Like, why do we care about this? Why am I supposed to want to care about Mustafa Ali and Mansour doing anything with T-Bar and Mace? It's just like,
okay,
like,
well,
I don't know.
Mansour beat Mace with a roll-up. Let's move on. Bobby Lashley and MVP are in the ring. MVP had one of the best lines of the night because he compared Lashley to Tom Brady, and they were in Kansas City. What a line. Lashley is like, I'm not going to dignify Goldberg's challenge with a response. This is my ring, and I won't be disrespected by anybody. So he turned down the challenge. So we've had both main events of SummerSlam turned down. Do they think we're going to be shocked when they're actually announced? Like when they say, oh, yeah, John Cena will be fighting Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Do they think we're going to be like, oh, shit, fuck, amazing. Like, we already know this is happening. Like,
yeah, it's like they don't think dirt sheets are a real thing. It's just like, we can go read what's going to happen in 3 months. Let's let us have it. Sell some tickets. It's only going to help yourself.
Even common sense, like.
Yeah, exactly. It's you're showing it to us on TV. We know where it's going. We can see it. Just let's give it to us. We get it.
Cedric Alexander comes out. He looked pretty good. Cedric tells Lashley, you kick me out of the Hurt Business. You know I'm better than you. I want my opportunity against the champ. And then Shelton Benjamin comes out and says that he wants to face Lashley. MVP says the champ doesn't have time to deal with you two. And then Lashley says, it's okay, I'll do a handicap match. So now we get Bobby Lashley versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Lashley hits Shelton with the jackhammer and then gives Cedric the Dominator onto Sheldon and pins them both for the win. I thought about this because I hated it at first, but I did like the fact that Lashley hit the jackhammer. I thought that was a nice piece of the story.
Something different, right? It's a call out. It's like, I see you coming. I'm gonna use your move because I know you're old, and we've seen what happens when you use the jackhammer. We've seen what happens in Saudi Arabia with the Undertaker.
Almost
so I like it. It's like a call out. It's like, come on, bring it, old man. I can do your move better than you because I'm in my prime, and you think you're in your prime.
Yeah. Next up, we got John Morrison versus I'm still calling him Matt Riddle. I'm not calling him Riddle. Backstage before the match, Omos and Styles are up there. They walk up to Miz and Morrison, Eminem, and they say, I need to tell you something that's important to Omos and myself. We don't get to know what that is. I'm loving wheelchair Miz. I don't know if he's actually injured, but I think it's amazing because he came out and he absolutely doused Byron Saxton with a dripstick. I'm loving the dripstick. And then Miz also squirted Riddle mid-match right in front of the ref. And the ref's like, that's fine. Okay, whatever. Riddle kicked the Miz from the apron. He fell back into his wheelchair. AJ and Omos came out, and Omos broke Riddle's scooter, to which he yelled, why? That was for Randy, who we haven't seen in a month.
Yeah, what's going on with that? That's weird.
I think he's back next week. And then Morrison grabbed Riddle off the second rope, hit him with the razor's edge into a rock bottom. I was like, oh, shit. And then he hit Starship Pin for the win. And then after the match, AJ, for some reason, comes in and hits Riddle with a Styles Clash. Looks like Randy's coming back to help Riddle. We'll see. Unfortunately, next, we get R-Truth and Reginald for the 24/7 championship. Great. Moving on. Nikki Cross and Charlotte Flair in a rematch. For some reason, this wasn't a champion. Oh, no, it was a championship contenders match.
Oh, wow.
So that's the third one of the night. I have a question for you. How is Charlotte Flair in a title match and also a championship contenders match?
Because it's good shit, pal.
Fair enough. I'm in. Nikki hit Charlotte with a crossbody from the apron to the floor, which was nice, but Charlotte got right back up and got into the ring. Nikki threw I think to close the match. I think it was a crossbody off the top rope, but Charlotte counters, hit a pin, wins the match. That's it. She pinned her. It wasn't even a roll up. Like, great.
Yeah, it was such a this is gonna be a kick out. Why I'm gonna look away, and I looked away and it wasn't a kick out. The match was over. Charlotte beat the champion.
Yeah.
So,
after the match, I think Kevin Patrick came into the ring and said, Charlotte pretty much went full Conor McGregor. She was like, "What do you expect? Nobody's in my league." Nikki then took the mic and challenged Charlotte to another rematch, and Charlotte says yes. And then Nikki, the dumbass that she is, agrees to shake Charlotte's hand, but then Charlotte cheap shotted her, gave her a big boot, and then Charlotte beats the absolute shit right out of Nikki. Now, I don't know if you noticed this. She did this in front of a little girl holding a Nikki Ash sign.
Because we gave you a good ending last week on Raw, so now we can't ever give you another good ending because it's heat.
The OG to do this was actually Bailey, and then Charlotte gave Nikki another big boot, and that is the end of Raw.
Yep. That was 3 hours.
Yeah. What did you think of Raw?
It was 3 hours. Again, I mean, remember last week when we were Snapchatting each other and we're just like, wow, we're actually excited to watch Raw, and it lasted a week.
Raw was good last week.
It was great last week, and which was even more disappointing this week when you watch it and you're just like, wow, this is what we followed up with last week.
Yeah,
that's
disappointing.
I don't know. It sucks. It sucks. It really sucks.
Terrible. Maybe they're doing this because of the Olympics, but I doubt it. We'll see. Anyway, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back again because Raw was 3 hours. It felt like 3 hours to us reviewing it, but now we're going to the better shows. So NXT opens with Ciampa and Thatcher versus Dunn and Lorcan. I thought this was a pretty good tag team match. But, going into it, I thought it could have been a great tag team match. It was not a great match. Ridge Holland made his return and clothesline Thatcher outside the ring. The ref didn't see it. Dunn hits Ciampa with the bitter end for the win. After the match, Holland beat up Thatcher and Dunn as Lorcan made Ciampa watch that. Then Holland headbutts Ciampa and grind his boot into his head. Pat McAfee's probably rolling in his grave watching this.
Yeah, he's just sitting at the announce table because they figured he was too good. And that's not a good thing. If you have someone who's too good, you don't want them on your show. So throw them behind the announce desk. But the match was pretty good. It was hard hitting. It was super old school. So I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. I just don't understand having a crowd if the guy who's going to interfere in the match and return and make his big return. I don't know if Ridge Holland can make a big return, but he's coming from an empty side of the crowd. You saw him coming. You saw someone interfering in the match. It's just what's the point of having a crowd? I get you're because of COVID, they're trying to do the social distancing stuff, so there's no crowd actually around the wrestlers. But I don't know. It just everything just seems so off because of that arena sometimes. But I don't know. Like I said, it was a hard hitting match. It was a great way to start the show because, like I said about Raw, the fact that we had a 50-minute talking segment, it's a lot better to watch a hard-hitting match.
Always start a wrestling show with a wrestling match.
Yep, completely agree. It's how you kick off. It's how you kick off a good show. It's what's the best way to start off a hockey game? You score a goal. You get the crowd into it. Go out there, have a banger, score a goal with the wrestling match. Just go out there. Have a great start of the show, and people are going to enjoy it. People are going to stick through it, not have to sit there through a 15-minute Charlotte talking segment.
Yeah, but poor Ciampa. He could just be – Ciampa should be feuding with Triple H right now over control of NXT, and he's just not doing that. Those two are just – I think they're identical of each other. But just doesn't happen, so whatever. Next, we get a video promo from Hit Row. They talk shit about – a guy called Legado del Fantasma, who I forgot was on the roster. This was weird. We're just going to skip this because next up, Samoa Joe comes out to the ring. He sets up a contract table. He grabs the mic. He says, Karrion Kross, come out here. I'm going to yell at you till I'm blue in the face, but you're a gutless coward, and I know you won't be in the building right now. Then Joe asks Mr. Regal to come out and join him. Regal comes out, but he doesn't have, he doesn't look good. Joe tells Regal, I know what you're going to do tonight. You're going to fire Karrion Kross. I have a much better solution. So Joe resigns from NXT management and tells Regal that he wants to be part of the active roster, at which point I was like, fuck yes. I saw this coming, but fuck yes. Yep. Regal grabs the pen, signs the documents. But Joe gives Regal another paper to sign, and it is a contract for Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross for the championship at the next takeover, which I guess they're doing another takeover. And then Regal shockingly signs that one too and shakes Joe's hand, which this match is going to be a fucking banger if they're allowed to do what they're allowed to do. Samoa Joe in any match, but with this level of hype and this level of build-up, you've got a killer in Karrion Kross versus a killer in Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe wins this match and becomes your next NXT champion.
I could not agree more. The fact that, like we said with Edge, that real emotion, that's the definition of Samoa Joe. I love this segment. I love the fact that he broke down every one of his 3-step plan. He told it he with such force. And I'm not a huge Regal fan, but in this segment, he just, that hesitation leading to, you know what? This guy messed with me, and now I have you have my back. Go get him.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with you. I think Joe's taking this match, and I think unfortunately Karrion Kross is going to go to the main roster after the loss at Takeover 36.
And then just job to Jeff Hardy for the rest of his life.
Yep, 82-0.
0-82.
Jeff Hardy's 82-0.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. We cut to a segment that's from earlier today that's between LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, and I'm actually just going to skip over this because it was about the whole Butler thing. Do you have any comments on this segment? Because I'd rather just not talk about it.
All I got to say is Cameron Grimes is great and deserves so much better, but he's so good at the comedy thing. So good for him that he's taking something with stride, right? So. Yeah,
fair enough. All right. Next, we have Carmelo Hayes versus Josh Briggs. I didn't know too much about these guys, but I guess that's why they're doing the NXT Breakout Tournament. Hayes won with a Fassimer off the – am I saying that right? Famouser off the top rope. It was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. I was drawn into it. I'd like to know more about these two, but obviously we'll all only know more about Carmelo Hayes as this Breakout Tournament moves on.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks interesting. It's obviously there's nothing really to say about it, but it's one of those things that they look good. They're up and coming, so it's exciting to see new stars. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Next up, we have a promo from Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Gonzalez says, I beat Xia Li last week, and she jokingly says, "Who's next?" Dakota's all, Raquel is the most dominant woman in NXT. Who is woman enough to challenge Raquel? No one comes out. Dakota tells Gonzalez, as long as I have your back, you will always be champion. Raquel stands on the second turnbuckle to hold up the belt. But she gets down. Dakota knocks her in the teeth with a hell of a kick. Dakota grabs the belt and says, I'm woman enough. I thought this was a great turn. I fully enjoyed this. I don't know what you thought of that.
I like the turn. I love Dakota Kai.
We saw it coming. I thought it was great. But the way they did it was, I thought they weren't going to do it this week.
No, 100%. It was phenomenal. It was great timing. It's just I don't like the smaller heel versus the bigger baby face. Mm-hmm. It just has that little bully dynamic, and it's one of those things where it's just like, why don't you just flick them away? Like it's just she's that big. Just flick her away. Get rid of her. You're huge. Like if you're such the beast Amazon that Raquel Gonzalez seems to be, why is Dakota Kai a pain in her ass right now? It's one of those things where it's almost like she should be treating Dakota Kai like she's not worth her time. And then we should be cheering for Dakota Kai because it's just like, oh, she's the big bully. It's like the Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax thing. It doesn't work for me. I don't know. I like the turn. I like Dakota Kai. I like the fact that she's getting an opportunity. But it's just one of those things where it's just like I don't like the smaller person being the bad guy.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. But we'll see where they go from this. The next segment is an earlier this week segment. I think it was. It was Zoe Stark and Io Shirai saying that they should hang out more because they're the champions and that they should start building a relationship. I kind of zoned out here. Then we go backstage. Some reporters catch up with Mandy Rose talking with some people. Mandy yells at the cameraman to leave. This was weird. And then we get another match. We get Casey Catanzaro and Cayden Carter versus Frankie, Monet, and Jessie Camella. Monet was dominating most of the match, but then Robert Stone jumped in on the apron, threw something at Monet, and yelled, "Finish her." This was a distraction, which allowed Carter and Catanzaro to hit their botched finisher for the win.
Yeah, it was a match.
All right. Wade Barrett was then backstage. He interviewed Roderick Strong and Malcolm Bivens. Strong was I think Strong said, after Undisputed Era broke up, Malcolm reminded me of who I am. Bivens said, Strong isn't a number 2, 3, or 4 guy. He's a number 1 guy, and I brought him back to NXT. Barrett started to ask about Bobby Fish, but Strong kind of cut him off and said that he's going to finish him next week. So that could be a good match. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, it's you don't really see them in a lot of single matches, so it's I've always liked Roderick Strong, so if anything, it's an opportunity for him to have a singles match. So I'm always excited for that because I'm not a huge fan of guys who I know are great single wrestlers always constantly being stuck in a tag team. And Bobby Fish is a great competitor, so I'm excited for that match. So
yeah. Next, we get a massive announcement from I think it was Regal, Triple H, and I think Shawn Michaels was there too, and they announced that Walter will defend the NXT UK Championship against Dragunov at TakeOver 36. This was a massive announcement because this match,
huge. That's huge.
Brings this card. If you guys haven't seen their first match, it was phenomenal. I think it actually finished 4th in the best WWE matches of 2019, or was it 2019 or 2020, whatever year it was, which is massive because WWE doesn't really acknowledge NXT UK. And this match was there. It was a great match. Check it out. This match will steal the next TakeOver. It's going to be amazing, especially in front of a live crowd. Walter's a treat to watch. Dragunov's a treat to watch. Walter definitely drops the title here, no?
I would have to say, yeah, just because he's had it for so long, and WWE doesn't usually like their long title reigns. Especially with Roman Reigns having his title already so long, I feel like they want him to kind of have that huge title reign. So I feel like he drops it, and honestly, I don't really care if he drops it because it's going to be Walter versus Dragunov. So there's no complaints there, right? It's going to be great either way.
If Cross versus Joe wasn't on this match, this would main event.
Yeah, 100%. It still might steal a show. So.
Oh, it'll steal the show, but it won't be the main event, which is a shame.
No, of course, yeah.
Next up, we have Imperium versus Hit Row. Del Fantasma came out and pushed Swerve Scott into the ring post. Top Dollar then runs out. He hits Wilde and Mendoza and then walks to Escobar. Imperium hit their finisher on Adinas for the win. Bunch of other stuff happened. For some reason, this was a bad guy versus bad guy match, and it was interrupted by bad guys.
And then the one bad guy leaves his bad guy teammate.
Yeah, this was...
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Yeah, we're going to skip by this really fucking quick, too. We're backstage. Indy Hartwell gets a gift. She opens it. It's a drawing of, Gargano, LeRae, Indy, and Loomis. Johnny is upset, and he pretty much screams he is never going to be a part of this family. Indy suggests that Johnny have a match against Dexter, and then if Dexter wins, she gets to be with him. But the other stipulation is that if Johnny wins, there's no more Dexter, and Indy says yes to this. What the fuck is going on? Like, should this match be uploaded to Pornhub? Like, I'm so uncomfortable watching this.
It's just like, if you guys want to be together, there shouldn't be a match stipulation with it. It's just, we don't care. We don't care if you guys want to date. Dexter Loomis is a creep. He literally reminds me of someone who would be in a horror movie. It's just, he's the perfect horror movie villain. I don't want to see him on a wrestling show. And like you said, it's just a stupid romantic bullshit. I just don't like it. It's such a waste of time.
Yeah. Speaking of a waste of time, we have Bronson Reed versus Adam Cole. This was such a disappointment. I love Bronson Reed. I think he could be a massive wrestler, especially on the main roster. And Adam Cole is just out of this world fucking performer.
Should not be on NXT, but
and this was I actually think he's preferred on NXT because of the shit they're doing with the NXT guys on the main roster. Reed goes for the tsunami. Cole moves out of the way and hits the last shot for the win. This was in like under 10 minutes. Kyle O'Reilly comes out, attacks Cole with a chair. Kyle suplexes Cole onto the steel steps, kind of like Adam Cole did to him a couple months ago. I kind of like that throwback. I don't know. This kind of felt weird. They're kind of dragging this storyline out now, no?
I just feel like I might be wrong, but wasn't the last time the Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, wasn't that supposed to be like the unsanctioned blow-off? Yeah. Like we weren't supposed to see that match for like a long time again, if not in the same company ever again.
Well,
but it's like we're back to it. Let's go. We had nothing else, and we don't really want to do anything else because we're scared that Vince McMahon is going to take guys. So let's use the two guys that we know Vince McMahon's not going to take.
Ha ha ha! Fuck you.
Yeah. My son-in-law, fuck you. Haha.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Then we'll get to AEW and wrap up the show. And we're back. Let's go right into AEW, which opened with a Survivor Series match, essentially. Yeah. It was a 5-on-5 elimination tag match, which I'm all here for. I love 5-on-5 elimination matches. Let's just fucking get right into it. It was the Elite with Hangman Page versus the it was the Elite versus Hangman Page and the Dark Order. The Elite came out as the Toon Squad, which was weird.
Amazing.
It was fun, but it was weird. It had Elite Squad. They were dunking on a really low basketball net, and they had Don Callis on their shorts. So that was great. Big Ball breaks out. The good guys beat up the bad guys. Blah, blah, blah. To start it off, Carl Anderson rolls up. Reynolds pulls on his tights. That's the first elimination. And then Stu Grayson and Evil Uno eliminate Anderson with their finisher. Grayson hit a springboard twisting moonsault, which was sick on the nobody because no one caught him. Doc Gallows.
And he got right up too. He got right up and then does another move. It was insane.
Yeah. He no-sold his own finisher. Doc Gallows and Grayson, they get double counted out while fighting in the crowd, which I thought was a nice touch. Omega eliminates Evil Uno with the one-wing angel. Great finisher. And then the Bucks power bombed Page on the apron, which was a nice little touch. Bunch of other stuff happens it was weird, but then Omega hit the Indie Taker. It was a mess there, kind of. Tony Schiavone started yelling. They dunked him, but JR was like, almost.
Yeah, he missed. Heel that he missed, though. It almost makes it better that he missed.
Yeah. The Bucks hit Silver with the BTE trigger to eliminate him, leaving Hangman Page all by himself against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I loved this part. I thought this was great. Page and Omega, they get face-to-face. Omega actually spat in Page's face, and they just start fucking going at it. They're brawling. It was great. The Bucks get in the ring to triple team Page. We get a triple super kick, but he kicks out, which I fucking hated because you can't kick out of that. Yeah. Matt goes for the 450 splash with Omega and Nick holding Page, and then Page kicks out again. What are you doing, Adam Page? Are you fucking Superman? Page moonsaults onto all three of them on the floor. Page gets up again, hits the Bucks with the buckshot lariat at the same time, eliminates Matt. Omega attempted to hit Page with one of the belts, but the referee got in the way. Good for him for catching it. Omega tried to hit him with the championship belt, but Omega ducked and then hit the Deadeye, but Omega kicked out. Jim Ross started yelling, Hangman Page just pinned the AEW champion.
I love that, to be honest with you. I love the fact that he thought it was a finish. I loved it.
Yeah, like Jim Ross needs to retire.
Yeah.
Page goes for the buckshot lariat. Nick gets out of the way, grabs the leg, distracts the ref. Omega hits Page with a belt finally, but Page kicks out again. Like, my God, is this guy like friggin'... My God, like too many kickouts in this match. It kind of ruined it, but it was exciting. Omega then hit two finishers and the One Ring Angel. He hits Page, fins him for the win. And then they announced that Hangman Page lost his title shot against Kenny Omega because of this.
And so did so basically the stipulation was basically if the Dark Order lost,
he never had a title shot.
He was technically, so basically if he won, he was supposed to face Kenny Omega at the next pay-per-view for the title. So basically he was the number one contender but didn't have a title shot yet because he was supposed to win this match. So therefore, because he lost, now Dark Order doesn't get the tag team title shot and Adam Page doesn't get his title shot. But I mean, what I did like about the match though was the fact that like at the very end with the whole Bucks pulling the leg thing. If you guys like remember, that's actually what broke up the Elite in the first place because Adam Page grabbed the Young Bucks legs, which cost them from getting a title shot. So it's great storytelling. It was a really long match because of what needed to happen in it. Obviously, there was some. I wasn't a huge fan of the count out, but obviously it was a cheap way of getting 2 eliminations. But yeah, it's. I'm not a huge fan of Adam Page losing his title shot because I feel like he was kind of destined for that and he kind of needed it. But I don't know. I don't think the loss hurts him, especially with the way, like you said, he kicked out of so much shit. So it's just it was worth it in a way.
There's probably a reason he lost that, and we'll get to that later.
Exactly.
Yeah. Backstage, Alec Marvez is interviewing Pac. They say a bunch of shit. Chavo Guerrero and Andrade show up and say that they got Penta and Phoenix backstage. This was a waste of time.
Yeah, I hate Chavo as a manager.
Yeah, it's better than Vicky. Ricky Starks comes out. It's this championship celebration. Taz introduces him. Starks comes out with Hook, and we get music playing from live musicians ringside. Starks gets some flowers. He gets kisses on the cheek. Starks talks shit about Brian Cage. So Brian Cage comes out, beats up the musicians. Dick move. Cage gets in the ring. Starks throws the flowers at him and runs away. This was weird.
Yeah, just another way of setting up another rematch, I guess. It's WWE style. It's another match we've already seen.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see Starks versus Cage again. I'm not really a huge Cage fan. I'm not really a huge Starks fan, and it's really weird that Hobbs wasn't there because I feel like he's the kind of the muscle of the group, and I feel like he just kind of pulls it all together. He's kind of the Taz of the group.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird how, especially with this segment before this, there was no Phoenix nor Penta. So that's Phoenix, that's Penta, and that's Hobbs, all 3 missing. So it's weird, and hopefully they're all okay. But it's just weird that 3 of them are missing.
Very weird. So next we have FTR versus Santana and Ortiz. Holly Blanchard and Conan are ringside. Santana knocked Cash Wheeler off the top rope, but Wheeler's arm hit the turnbuckle and actually legitimately sliced his arm open. Hopefully he's okay. They injected on him. Blood. I didn't see any news that he would be missing any time, so he's pretty good. But because of this, they actually rushed the end of the match, and Dax Hardwood hit Santana with a brainbuster, pinning him. Hopefully everybody's all right. But I feel like this match was supposed to go a little bit longer.
Yeah, at least I have written down here is I was going into this match with match of the year potential, and then the injury kind of happened, and it just but even before that, it didn't really feel like it was kind of running smoothly. And it's one of those things where I feel like instead of putting this at the beginning the middle of a show, I feel like this kind of match could kick off a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but yeah, it was definitely good, but the match kind of wasn't going smoothly, but it was still good. And then the injury kind of just ruined it because it felt like there was at least 10 minutes left in the match.
Yeah, but hopefully he's okay. It's all good.
Yep.
We cut back to a segment that apparently was earlier in the day. Tony Schiavone, was interviewing Britt Baker. Baker says she has a broken wrist because of Nyla Rose, who has legitimately injured her 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
Baker says that her and they need someone who was at their backs. This was odd. Then we have Tony Schiavone with a big announcement. They announced that AEW Rampage, which I don't think has had an episode yet, have they?
No, August 13th is the debut episode. So Friday, August 13th at 10 p.m. live.
Right. So we can talk about this after. Let's kind of save it all. But AEW Rampage will be in Chicago for August 20th for something called The First Dance. So maybe their first episode is August 20th.
I think what I heard was the first episode is August 13th on the Friday, and then they were supposed to tape the second episode, but because of obviously the news, which we'll get to later, there was a reason to go to Chicago for a live taping.
Okay.
So I feel the August 13th will be the debut at 10 p.m. on Friday, and then August 20th is the second show, which is now live because it was supposed to be taped.
Yeah.
In Chicago.
And then after announcing that something will be in Chicago, Alex Marvez starts to interview Alan and Sting, and Darby says, "I'll be there in Chicago. I've been around a lot of guys who claim they're the greatest, but there's only one place to prove it, right here in AEW, even if you think you're the best in the world," which immediately told me that it's probably going to happen. Let's not talk about it right now, as we know. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. I'm going to let you take this next match because we have, I don't even know how to say it, Hikaru versus Lance Archer for the IWGP US Championship. You know more about this stuff than me, so tell me about this match.
Yeah, it was a hard-hitting giant matchup. I'm not a huge fan of Hikuleo. He's green. They even mentioned it on the broadcast that he's green. And this is what green looks like.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Lance Archer fan. I've always been a Lance Archer fan since I kind of discovered watching and like New Japan. He is what he says he is. He's a murder hawk. He hits hard. He does everything hard. This wasn't a wrestling match. JR says it best. It was bowling shoe ugly. It was just a fight. It was a good New Japan fight. It was New Japan rules. King Haku, which is Hikuleo's father, was there. So he did the Tongan death grip to Lance Archer, which was interesting to see. The crowd went nuts for him, so that was cool. But and then Lance Archer pulls out a win. And earlier in the show, Hiroshi Tanahashi did a promo in Japanese and said he was actually going to face the winner of the Hikuleo versus Lance Archer match. So now that Lance Archer won, he will actually travel to Japan and challenge Hiroshi Tanahashi for his IWGP US title. So
and
that should be pretty interesting. Yep. So that should be pretty good.
It's going to be a good match. And speaking of, good matches, we don't get one next because Alex Marvez interviews Cody Rhodes backstage. But before they can start fighting, Nikolai Black attacks them and they end up fighting onto the stage. Black knocks Cody out with a knee strike. He says, welcome to the House of Black, which I thought was weird. But Cody's friends come out and check on him. Black gives one of them the black mass.
Yeah, Fuego de Sol got knocked the fuck out. That's an understatement.
So we get another Miro video promo. He says he's going to fight next week. He's facing Lee Johnson. Okay, cool.
One thing you guys should go check out, it was Lee Johnson's match on Elevation or Dark. He tried this like 360 dive and literally straight up landed on his neck. Like it literally legitimately looked like he broke his neck. So hopefully he's okay, but it's definitely something you should go check out if you want to see that.
Yep. Next up, we got Angelico and Private Party versus Christian Cage, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. Matt Hardy and Marco Stunt were ringside. Matt Hardy attacked Jungle Boy outside the ring. Marco and Christian, chased him up the ramp. Luchasaurus hit Angelico, who superplexed Mark Quinn, who then superplexed Isaiah Cassidy, which was a very weird spot, which I didn't quite understand. At the end of the match, Luchasaurus chokeslammed Mark Quinn, and Christian Cage hit the frog splash for the win. After the match, Blake knocks out Christian with brass knuckles, and Shivani reminds that the Blade family works for the Hardy office.
Yeah, heel Hardy is something. Like, I love Matt Hardy. I'm glad he's having success, but it's just the dickhead rich guy thing isn't a thing for him. I feel like it's just such a disconnect for me whenever I see Matt Hardy doing that gimmick.
Yeah, weird. Julia Hart versus Thunder Rosa. Varsity belongs to ringside. Haven't seen Thunder Rosa in a while. Thunder Rosa.
So she signed an AEW contract, so that's why you haven't seen her for a while. So basically, she did her thing with NWA, and they didn't want her on live TV anymore, I think. So basically, she signed a contract with AEW, and that's why you're going to be seeing more of her on actual live TV now. But she got a huge pop. It's just Julia Hart versus Thunder Rosa is not going to knock your socks off, right? But
Thunder Rosa wins with the Fire Thunder Driver. So blah blah blah. Backstage, we go to Jon Moxley. He's drinking and claiming that Tanahashi is too scared to face him in Japan. This was really weird.
Yeah, it was an odd promo stating that it's weird that the water polo team from France and Italy can get into Japan. It's just like, John, buddy, it's a pandemic and the Olympics are going on. No wonder they can get in when you can't.
Yeah.
Like, they're a little bit more important than a pro wrestler right now.
Yeah. And for the main event, we have Chris Jericho versus Nick Gage in a no rules match. I'm going to let you take this one away. What you like about this?
I loved it, honestly. I'm the weirdo who loves death matches. I someone who's actually not good with blood. I love watching blood in my wrestling matches. So it was the Painmaker Chris Jericho versus Nick motherfucking Gage, MDK all day. But yeah, it was absolute insanity. Chris Jericho is 49, going on 50 years old, and he's doing death matches. In a way, it does feel like a little bit of a retirement tour for him. He's kind of just crossing off all the check boxes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if basically, because this is our first wrestling episode. So basically the thing is right now with Chris Jericho and MJF, they're feuding. MJF is doing his 5 labors of Jericho, which is basically 5 different challenges of Chris Jericho's past, it seems, that are coming back to haunt him. So the first one, I believe, what was the first one? It was Ty Dillinger. Sean Spears in a chairs match that Sean Spears could only use the chair. Obviously, Chris Jericho won the first one, or else he wouldn't have made it to the second one. After the first match, they announced that Nick Gage from GCW, which is a deathmatch exclusive company, he's the king of deathmatch. He's the guy went to jail. He robbed a bank with no mask. Like, you can go look Nick Gage up if you want to look at him. He's a bad motherfucker. But yeah, he came to AEW. He brought his pizza cutter with him, which is his trademark. And actually during the match, while he was slicing Chris Jericho's head open with the pizza cutter, the commercial that came up after was actually Domino's.
Yeah, that was weird.
So
I feel like that was done on purpose.
You might have thought that until today when Domino's threatened to pull their licensing from AEW.
Oh.
So yeah, so as funny as it was, it actually kind of got serious after. But yeah, like I said, there was blood everywhere. There was light tubes, pizza cutters. What WWE doesn't do when they bring in people is they don't let them do their own thing. And what AEW did was brought Nick Gage in and let Nick Gage do his own thing, which is absolute fucking craziness. Yeah. And that's what they let him do. And it was absolutely amazing. Chris Jericho won with light tubes to the head and then a Judas effect. And then after the match, pissed off MJF came out and let everybody know that the next labor of Jericho was Chris Jericho must win with a maneuver off the top rope.
So a moonsault.
Yeah, with a basic Chris Jericho moonsault, lion salt. And his opponent will be Juventud Guerrero, which 2 years ago during a promo, Chris Jericho mentioned that MJF's mom and dad got horny while watching his match on WCW with Juvi.
This was great.
Yeah, so basically just perfect storytelling that a joke 2 years ago turned into a match in 2021. So next week we're going to see Juventud Guerrera versus Chris Jericho in 2021. So I'm pretty fucking stoked about that.
So I have no idea who that guy is, but I'm excited.
He's one of the best lucha libres in all of pro wrestling. And I don't know what he's been doing lately, but in like the 90s in WCW, he was absolutely amazing.
So MJF and Jericho are definitely going to fight the next All Out, right?
Oh, I would think so, unless obviously Chris Jericho loses one of his labor of Jericho's, but I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
No, and the fact that people are pointing out that like MJF actually did the same thing with Cody Rhodes, so it's actually better the fact that they're doing the same thing but still making it new. And someone mentioned on Twitter today to MJF, and he responded because MJF is the perfect heel. He responded the fact that like, well, yeah, idiot, it worked the first time. Why would I do it again?
Yeah.
Like it did. He beat Cody because in a way all those things weakened Cody, and MJF got the win. But I don't know. I would think that MJF versus Chris Jericho is definitely going to happen at the next pay-per-view, which I'm totally down for because I hate MJF, but I hate him enough where I want to see him in matches because he's that damn good. So
MJF's got to win that match.
Yeah. Yep, completely agree.
All right, that was AEW. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with news, rumors, and some fun stuff. And we're back. We got some news and rumors now. Jarek, why don't you take it away with the biggest one of the week?
The biggest one of the week. So as we were talking about earlier about the AEW show, they announced that that they're doing a show called Rampage in Chicago, and there's only one reason they're doing it in Chicago. Is because basically they guaranteed that CM Punk is going to basically be there.
Yeah, so this is big because they got 3 shows in a row in Chicago. They got Rampage, they got Dynamite, and they got, is it All Out? They got All Out too. So,
All Out, yeah.
3 in a row in Chicago. Odds are that CM Punk's debuting for them here, and probably not just CM Punk's. We got 2 other names. You want to break those?
Yep. The other one would be Daniel Bryan, which is I can't guarantee anything because I'm not that guy, but it's almost like 99% sure that he's already signed and ready to go.
He's more of a lock than CM Punk.
100%. I think they're thinking about debuting him at the Archer Ashe Stadium, which is the big soccer stadium in New York. But basically, when they talked about Chicago, they panned to the crowd, and the crowd was openly cheering CM Punk.
Yeah.
And Tony Khan basically gave you that wink where just like, yeah, we got him, motherfuckers. We got him. We got Daniel Bryan. And what you broke to me today, actually, I don't know if you want to say this. Do you want to say this?
Yeah. So reportedly, Brock Lesnar has signed with another fight company. They didn't say who it was, but another fight company outside of UFC, outside of WWE. So this could be UFC. This could be New Japan. This could be TNA. This could be AEW. We don't know who it is. It's going to be interesting to see who he signs with. Yeah, so we'll see where Brock Lesnar shows up next. It could be UFC, could be anywhere really. I think it's going to be AEW. AEW Rampage, that sounds like a show Brock Lesnar should be on. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the August 13th episode.
And especially, I don't know if you've seen many pictures of him recently. He has a new look too. So he's grown out his hair at the top, and he actually has like a man bun in a way. So he almost looks like a Viking. So I don't know. It's like if he does debut, he has a new look. So it's not going to be like your average Brock Lesnar from WWE. So it's going to be something. It's going to be something new. So if he has signed anywhere, I would like you said, it's either UFC or AEW because I don't think he's gonna go back to WWE because he actually made comments. I think it was today or recently that. I don't understand why WWE is beating champions because if you're a champion, then you should be the guy who's in the championship matches. So if you're in a match, your title should be on the line because that's what you're doing. And he's a real fighter. He said if he's in MMA, when you're fighting and you're the champion, your title's on the line. You don't fight these non-title matches just to get a warm up.
Yeah. It's that's my question for you. If AEW's got these 3 guys and they debut them all within 2 weeks, that's a game changer, right?
No, 100%. Because you basically just changed the landscape of wrestling and took over the landscape of wrestling because you've essentially said that even the most untouchable guys aren't untouchable.
That's the 3 most untouchable guys in
you thought the one guy said he wasn't going anywhere. The second guy basically owes everything. I don't want to say Daniel Bryan owes everything to WWE, but he definitely owes his comeback in a way because he reached that main stage with WWE. And then the third guy, it's just like you thought he was only doing stuff with Vince and only Vince because that's what he did. He was a mission. Like what's that word he said he was? It's like he goes out there and does his jobs, kills people, and goes back home. That's what he does. That's what he is. So the fact that he's even rumored to be signing anywhere else but WWE, it's insane to me. So I'm excited.
That's crazy. You got any more news and rumors, or shall we move on to our top 5?
That's all I got for the rumors. Let's move on to the top 5.
That's the big one this week. So we're always going to finish with something fun. So we're going to do our top 5 current wrestlers, top 5 all-time wrestlers, and then we're going to do a fantasy booking. So let's start with top 5 current wrestlers. So who are your top 5 current wrestlers? Let's start with number 5. So we'll both go 5, then 4, then 3, and so on and so forth.
So my number 5 is actually Lance Archer from AEW.
Okay. You want to explain that, or?
I just love the fact that he's just a big ass beast. He's just everything he does is it just looks so real. He's just like he just destroys people. I like that. I like pro wrestling. Like you said, I know it's not real, but anybody who can make it seem real, I'm all for. And he's one of those guys. He just like my number one selection. I'm not going to announce right now, but just those badass guys who just destroy people. I like that. I like that.
Number 5, I'm going to go with Keith Lee. He brings the energy. I like him. He's a believable badass. He's believable in the ring. Just like him overall. Number 4.
I like it. Number 4 for me is actually it's a new guy who I actually only discovered recently because of AEW. It's Darby Allin. I mean the guy, as a huge Jeff Hardy fan, you gotta appreciate guys who are gonna do anything to their body just for the joy and entertainment of me and you sitting on our couch drinking our Molson Canadian.
Yep.
It's just you just love those kind of guys, right? It just makes pro wrestling real and puts their body on the line, and you just love them. They beat to their own drum. I love it.
Yeah. My number 4, I am going to go with. This is current, right? Yeah. So current, yep. I'll go. Oh, this is a tough one. I'll go. I'm deciding.
There's so many.
And like I have my top 5 in my head, but I don't know the order to put them in. I'll go Randy Orton. Like right now, whenever he's performing, he carries the show. Always entertaining to watch. He knows what the fans want. He knows how to read a crowd. I'll go with Randy Orton as number 4.
I can't disagree with that. The guy, he's a legend killer, right? The Viper.
Yeah. All right, number 3.
Y2j Chris Jericho. So basically this is my current one, so I can't really say Y2j Chris Jericho. So I'm going to say the Painmaker version of Chris Jericho, the New Japan version. I just think he just at 49 years old, he's done everything in wrestling that you need to do. So the fact that he's not sitting at home just soaking up his money is what I love about him. I like those guys who are in their late 40s who are still doing pro wrestling and still doing pro wrestling right. Because for just the sheer joy of making the wrestling business better. So Chris Jericho would be number 3 for me.
Number 3 for me is going to be Finn Balor. I think he can carry a show. Good at what he does. It's exciting to see him on the main roster. He has massive potential to carry this company into the future. I think he is the next guy up. So Finn Balor is my number 3.
I love Finn Balor too. He's definitely in my he couldn't crack my top 10, but he's definitely in my top. Couldn't crack my top 5, but he's definitely in my top 10 just because of how athletic he is.
Yeah.
So number 2, are we on now?
Yeah.
So my top 2 current superstar, who is just we've talked about him earlier today. He's 1-0 against NXT champions Jeff Hardy, because what pro wrestler beats Jeff Hardy? Let's be honest.
He's not on my current one because he's only got a. Yeah, go ahead. Explain.
Fair enough. But he beat the NXT champion, right? Why not? Why wouldn't he be in your top 5?
Fair enough. I'm gonna go number 2. I'm gonna go with Walter from NXT UK.
Okay.
He just got
this one.
He just got I bring in the hot takes. He just got announced for a main match on NXT Takeover 36. It's going to be a big match. It's going to steal the show. My hopes are high up for Walter. I think this is a deserved number 2.
So my number 1 top 5 current superstars is the badass himself. I don't think anybody is a better pro wrestler than him right now. In New Japan, WWE, AEW, it's Jon Moxley. He's recreated himself coming from Dean Ambrose. For everything he hated in WWE, he's come back. He's done everything he was missing while he was in WWE, and he's the wrestler to beat right now. I don't think anybody's better than Jon Moxley.
Yeah. Number 1 for me right now is the rated R superstar Edge. He came back. He gave me my childhood back. He came back as the literally exact same guy with even more intensity. He's adapted to the new roster. He's going to give us these dream matches. Edge, thank you very much. You're number 1 on my current superstars list. All right,
a round
let's
of
go.
Applause because he's Edge.
Top 5 all time. Let's start at number 5. Why don't you kick us off?
So my top 5 is the guy you actually just mentioned. So it's the
Okay.
rated R superstar himself, Edge, because I'm showing my age here with this top 5 here, but I don't know. Going with it like the early TLC matches with the Hardys and the Dudley Boys, he was the guy who was always doing the crazy shit with Jeff and Matt. So I just had major respects for Edge then, and the fact that and then going into like the Matt Hardy Edge feuds that seemed so real, and then into the rated R superstar with his live sex show and all that stuff. But he's definitely a top 5 all time. He's just amazing. He's a 9-time champion I think now, but hopefully 10 soon.
Number 5 for me. You might say this is a surprise, but I'm gonna go with Kane. Kane's been around for a while. He always delivers. He shows up at the most unexpected times, and he always puts on a good performance. So I'm going to go with Kane as my number 5. Number
the big
4,
red machine.
Big red machine, Mayor Kane.
So my number 4 is actually the Y2J version of Chris Jericho. So basically the Chris Jericho that debuted versus The Rock and shut The Rock up, which is very hard to do because you don't shut The Rock up because The Rock's the greatest on the mic ever. But number 2 on the mic ever is Chris Jericho, in my opinion. And the fact that he was 25-year-old doing it back then in Calgary with Lance Storm. Now he's 49 years old doing it around the world with AEW. So I don't think you get much better than Chris Jericho, especially at number 4. So.
Number 4 all time for me is going to be Canada's own, Quebec's own, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, for me so far, he's kind of reignited my love for pro wrestling. Every match he puts on is entertaining. No matter what they have for him, he knows what to do, and he delivers the show, delivers the promise of entertainment when a match is delivered or a segment is delivered. So Kevin Owens, you get my number 4 spot.
That's sweet. I like that pick. So number 3 for me, I actually share a birthday with him, is the game Triple H.
Oh, okay.
Because he basically carried the WWE or the WWF, I guess, when it wasn't really the greatest after The Rock started going to Hollywood and doing that kind of stuff. So just his early DX days, his badassery with DX, and the fact that and then he went into his little heel run with Shawn Michaels. He's just, I don't know. Obviously, it helps that he's the son-in-law of the guy who owns the company. But I don't know. I feel like he's held his own, and he definitely deserves the majority of the title reigns he's been given.
I agree with that. That's a good pick. There's no wrong picks in this list.
No,
which is why at number 3, I'm going to go with Chris Jericho in general. There's an argument this guy could be the number 1 pro wrestler of all time when his career is done. But let's wait for his career to be done to see what he accomplishes in AEW. He's done it all. He's wrestled in Japan. He's wrestled in the States. He's Canadian. He's fucking launched a new company, which is probably going to compete with WWE one day.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho is entertaining on every level he has. Even that 2007 suit run Jericho. Amazing, phenomenal. Chris Jericho, you are the GOAT.
The GOAT. So my number 2 is the guy who just recently returned to WWE with the biggest pop I've probably ever heard live in my life.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about him.
Mr. You Can't See Me himself, John Cena. So hopefully, so good thing we didn't put a picture up of him because nobody would see it.
All right, well, Kane is now my number 6 and Cena is my number 5.
I like it. I'll allow that. I'll allow that. So who's number 2 for you?
I am gonna go with Mr. Retirement, Mr. 23-2, Mr. Actual WrestleMania, The Undertaker.
Yeah,
buddy, you were scary as hell when I was a kid. I tuned in every week to watch you, even if it was just a tombstone Santino Marella in a quick match, or choke Sam Chavo Guerrero through a table. Undertaker, number 2, no explanation needed here.
That I don't even think we need an explanation. If you say you're a wrestling fan, you say you like The Undertaker, then I don't gotta ask questions.
Yeah.
So my number 1 of all time is actually 2 people, and the reason I actually like wrestling, Matt and Jeff Hardy, because nothing beats them, because they're the best, because they're the reason that when I was in grade 4, I paint my nails and dye my hair because Jeff Hardy. So, but yeah, they're the best. Nothing beats pro wrestling like the Hardy Boys. That's just the definition of why I love pro wrestling is because of Matt and Jeff Hardy. SummerSlam 2000 was the very first DVD I ever bought, and those two were destroying themselves in a TLC match on that DVD. So I love them.
My number one of all time is Jeff Hardy. So go, if you have any issue with this, you go fucking watch Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk SummerSlam 2008. Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker in a ladder match. You go watch these matches. You go watch what Jeff Hardy has done for this business, throwing himself off. You go watch the Matt and Jeff Hardy return at WrestleMania 33.
Yep.
You go watch that. You watch that. You see how the crowd pops when Jeff Hardy comes out. Jeff Hardy shall be Universal Champion before he retires. Jeff Hardy is the best wrestler, best entertainer of all time.
And the uncrowned NXT champion.
That is true. All right. Final segment of the night. Let's fantasy book CM Punk's return to the WWE. You want to go first?
Yeah, I will go first. So my I was thinking about this all night while we were doing this, and I think the best way to bring CM Punk back is you have Roman Reigns beat every single challenger you give him for the next year and a half. And then all of a sudden, that old school CM Punk music hits. I'm not talking cult of personality. I'm talking that old school CM Punk from ECW music. And you just have him come out in Chicago, no less, in the United Center on like a big pay-per-view after Roman Reigns beats his biggest challenger yet. And you have CM Punk debut, and you have CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at the next big pay-per-view, and you have CM Punk go over with Roman Reigns because no one's been able to beat Roman Reigns for the last year and a half.
I like it. I would do this, and I put some thought into this, and there's a lot of storytelling here, and I think it would be a massive throwback to all wrestling fans who have watched this product for years. It's the Royal Rumble. You're hosting it in Chicago. Got to do it. Number 30 hits. In the ring is Roman Reigns, who is a Paul Heyman guy. Brock Lesnar, who is a Paul Heyman guy. Cesaro, who has been a Paul Heyman guy, even if it was only for a couple of weeks. Rob Van Dam is in there for some reason because he was also a Paul Heyman guy when they were in ECW. Throw in a couple other people just for shits and giggles. Maybe you throw in CM Punk's biggest rival. Sure, Jeff Hardy's in there.
Why not? Why not?
Edge is in there as well. 30 hits, nobody comes out. It's silent. Everyone's kind of staring at it. It's silent. And all of a sudden you hear... And then it just pauses. Nothing happens. And then the lyrics hit. Look in my eyes. And it just go into it.
That's
returns. Hype. He comes out, but he doesn't win the Rumble. He gets eliminated. Roman Reigns wins the Rumble. And he said, I'm going after the title. Fucking Kevin Owens has it. I'm going for you. CM Punk goes full Daniel Bryan and forces his way into the title match. You don't have the yes movement. You have the Punk movement. WWE has to embrace the return of Punk when it returns.
That's amazing. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. We might need to make that happen. Get your wallet ready. We need to pay Punk, bring him back to WWE for that to happen.
Well, we got to buy the WWE first, so
we're on our way.
We're close. All right, so thank you for listening. If you want us to buy the WWE, make sure you drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. I'll drop it below. This has been the Orions Belt. Thanks for checking us out. We will see you next week.